Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are setting the stage for an absolute eye-opening paradigm shift about something we all go through at some point, heartbreak. We're drawing directly from a profound conversation between relationship expert Matthew Hussey and the world's foremost expert on grief, David Kessler. We are going to completely redefine how you look at loss, pain, and the entire path to healing. So let's dive right into this.
Which grief is the worst? It's a question Kessler gets asked all the time. And honestly, as humans, we do this constantly, don't we? We compare our pain. We try to logically calculate who actually has it worse. Is it the person grieving a 1-month breakup? Is it someone going through a massive, messy 30-year divorce? Or is it the profound loss of a death? We literally sit there with our mental calculators, trying to figure out if our own pain is valid enough to even feel.
But here's the surprising answer that just completely shatters that scale. Yours. Your grief is always the worst. Forget everyone else's for a second. We have got to stop putting our pain on a leaderboard, because when you sit around comparing your grief to someone else's, you are actually just trapping yourself up in your head. You're intellectualizing your emotions rather than actually honoring what you feel. And that leads us to a really fascinating distinction.
David Kessler sums this up perfectly. He says, "You don't have a broken mind, you have a broken heart." We are so quick to use logical reasoning against our emotional pain. We tell ourselves things like, well, I only dated them for a month, I really shouldn't be this upset. But logic is completely useless against a broken heart. You are entirely entitled to feel heartbroken, absolutely regardless of the duration or the specific type of relationship you lost. So, how do we actually define this feeling? Well, heartbreak is simply a change you didn't want. That's it. It's not just about losing a romantic partner. It is the unwelcome arrival of literally any new reality or future that we did not plan for. When a career path crumbles, when someone betrays us, or when a best friend walks away, that is a change we didn't want. And the grief that follows is completely valid.
Because heartbreak takes on so many different shapes and forms, it creates what Kessler calls unattended grief. And the truth is, we are all walking around carrying it. These are the daily disappointments, the silent betrayals, and the unexpected life shifts that we intuitively try to just speed right past. We push it down because, let's face it, dealing with it just feels inconvenient or frightening.
Now, how we handle that unattended grief is absolutely fascinating. In fact, David Kessler is the only grief expert who has actually studied buffalo. Why? Because when buffalo sense a storm coming, they do something incredible. They head straight towards it. They instinctively know that by running directly into the storm, they will pass through it faster. Humans, on the other hand, we do the exact opposite. We try to stay just a few feet away from the edge of the storm. And because we do that, we end up trapped in the storm's orbit indefinitely, just constantly trying to outrun the rain. So how do we actually manage to stay on the edge of that storm? We numb ourselves. We force ourselves to move on way too quickly, pretending we're just totally fine. We avoid any potential triggers, basically shrinking our own lives down just to dodge a memory. Or we pivot to a more comfortable emotion. Confronting that raw pain just feels far too difficult, so we deploy these defenses to keep the storm safely at arm's length.
This avoidance builds into one of the most powerful concepts in Kessler's work. He says, anger is a bodyguard for pain. How incredible is that phrasing? When a situation hurts us, we so often default to anger. And why wouldn't we? Anger feels powerful. Anger feels active. It is simply a much more comfortable, protective emotion than raw vulnerability. It acts as a shield, standing right in front of our deepest wounds.
I want you to really pause and think about this for a second. What pain is underneath your anger? Think back to a past betrayal, a relationship that ended badly, or a friend who really let you down. Think about that lingering, hot anger you felt. If anger is just the bodyguard, who is it protecting? What is actually standing behind that rage?
The answer, almost universally, is sadness and grief. That is the true core emotion. We default to anger because we are utterly terrified of the sadness beneath it. We avoid this deep, heavy grief because we have this irrational yet very real fear that if we truly allow ourselves to start crying, we might never actually stop. So we just let the bodyguard do all the talking.
But the only way out is through. You have to head into the storm. Just like the buffalo, you have to bravely run straight into your unattended grief. I know it sounds terrifying, but fully engaging with those deep emotions, feeling them all the way through, is the only absolute guarantee that they won't stick around forever. If you face it, you can process it, and eventually you can leave the storm behind.
Heading into the storm requires a massive mindset shift, though.
We really need to reframe self-compassion. Society loves to demonize feeling sorry for yourself, right? It's seen as playing the victim without taking any accountability. But we need to shift that to feeling for yourself. Deeply feeling for what you've been through, acknowledging your own pain with warmth and understanding, is actually the necessary foundation for all true healing.
When we don't feel for ourselves, we actually abandon ourselves. We judge, we shame, we constantly criticize our actions. We tell ourselves we're bad or unworthy, we don't stick up for ourselves, and we just repeatedly ignore our own pain. This heavy burden of negative self-talk is exhausting. Refusing to sit with your pain and comfort yourself isn't being strong, it is the ultimate form of self-abandonment.
We've got to replace that harsh critic with a different tone. As Kessler points out, there's a real you in there that's so kind and loving. That's the voice you got to keep turning up. Adopting a softer, kinder internal voice might feel totally foreign and scary at first. But as Hussey notes in the source material, while change is scary, we already know exactly what staying the same feels like. It's time to turn up the volume on your own self-compassion. To help people actually do this heavy lifting, Hussey created something he calls the Avengers of Overcoming Heartbreak. This is an expert series he put together featuring world-leading voices. We're talking David Kessler on grief, Dr. Ramani on navigating narcissism, Dr. Nicole LaPera on holistic psychology, plus Lewis Howes and Tom and Lisa Bilyeu. It's a series designed entirely around navigating life and finding true happiness after heartbreak. The source material outlines are a really simple way to access this series. By visiting heartbreakseries.com and purchasing a copy of Matthew Hussey's new book, Love Life, readers are granted access to these deep dive interviews. It's a very straightforward path provided in the discussion for anyone looking to engage further and really commit to this kind of focused healing. I want to end our explainer today with a deeply provocative thought from David Kessler himself. No one ever abandoned me as badly as I abandoned myself. Just let that sink in for a moment. I challenge you to reflect on your own self-compassion today. It is time to stop outrunning the storm. It's time to stop letting anger guard your sadness. And most importantly, it's time to finally stop abandoning your own unattended grief. Be the buffalo. Head into the storm.